subject of your analysis need not offer a conscious validation of your conclusions. For instance, you don't need to tell a gorilla to his face that humans are more intelligent than gorillas, nor do you have to use its language and pick up a stick and hit a gorilla in order to prove that humans are more superior than gorillas. A mind that has found nothing pragmatic, useful to apply to his everyday life through philosophy exposes himself as someone who is either incapable to think beyond a certain point by excluding his preferences and emotions from the act of thinking, or as one who has entered into the practice out of habit or a hobby or to impress, and therefore not in good faith. Such a man will belittle what he cannot use or reach, what he cannot attain, just as he would call a woman who rejects him or is above him fat and ugly or a whore to comfort his bruised ego. Philosophy, if we are to think of her as a woman, if it is honest and brave and has derived insights directly from the cosmos, the Greek word means a jewel from which cosmetics is derived from, will have no problem applying itself back to the cosmos. Philosophy uncovers what is, it does not escape it. By uncovering, a mind sharpens its performance, it clarifies and focuses its energies. If it is unable to do so, then it came to philosophy for reasons other than seeing and understanding, and will inevitably lose interest in it or use what insights it has gained or has been given to comfort itself and for nothing more, to give itself pleasure. Ironically, that is exactly why it began its quest into philosophy, under the wrong impression that there it could find infinite sources for immediate and easy gratification. But having realized that philosophy increases need and suffering by exposing the mind to the vast time-space horizons, vistas that average minds do not have to endure in their immediate shallowness, its knees will buckle, and when it realizes it neither has the stomach nor the heart for it. To not expose its weakness, it degrades what it cannot have, only exposing itself further. Immeasurable damage done to the spirit of Western man. With nothing to hate, he hates hating. With nothing to love, he loves loving. With nothing to value, he values value. With nothing to please him, he finds pleasure in pleasure. With no sense of self, he constructs a caricature to worship as some other, or to destroy as some nobody. With no hope, he finds hope in hoping. With nothing to lose, he is lost. With nothing to aim for, he floats like a paper boat on the waters of time. With nothing to identify with, he mocks all identities. With nothing to think, he disappears in thoughtlessness. Every presumption of truth rests on a bedrock of emotional narratives, validated or contradicted by choices made in a world that remains indifferent. The outcome of these choices reveals the degree reason was involved in the entire process. Emotion acts upon reason as gravity acts upon light. It pulls it inward, warps its trajectory, and if the mass is strong enough, it sucks it into a darkness, leaving behind only subtle radiation traces. The more noetic detached from the phenomenal reference point a proposition is, the more the one proposing it relies on seduction and assimilation, assimilating quantities in support. It is the most obvious giveaway, an indirect admission of intent, and an exposition of an internal doubt. Before one can begin to think about what ought to be done, one must take account of what has been done and what the consequences were. To objectively judge what choices were available and which ones were taken precedes the evaluation of how these choices relate to one's own ideals and why they relate to it in this way. Beauty, or any word, concept referring to power, does not announce itself. It does not have to. It infiltrates the soul and takes you over from the inside out. There's a fine line between stupidity and insolence, one I try not to cross, but I often do. The act betrays the man, the organism, the phenomenon. The word attempts to either multiply this effect or conceal it. When I was younger, I wanted, I desired. As I grew older, I discovered that I only needed. Physical beauty, like the body itself, is temporary, it's temporal. It degrades, it decays, it dies. Mental beauty, on the other hand, is more timeless. It exceeds the body's mortality. It goes beyond the limits of man. It is more timeless. By defining the word, by anchoring it down to the earthly, to the phenomenon, connecting the phenomenon or the noumenon to the phenomenon, what you do is you disarm the nihilist, the modern, from his most fundamental tool, which is the word. He prefers the word to be ambiguous, to be definable in any way he chooses, to make it subjective, to have a subtle meaning for one and a different subtlety for another, a different nuance for somebody else. This helps his intersubjective delusions. Whereas when you define a word precisely by anchoring, connecting it to the world, there is no leeway for toying around, for gameplay, for verbal acrobatics. That's how order limits chaos. That's how probability restricts possibility. That's how the organism survives.